Namaste everybody, Lisa A. Romano, the Breakthrough Life Coach. We're going to talk about the number one misconception about narcissists that I think is out there, at least in my humble opinion, that is. I wanted to talk about the misconception that I think that many of us struggle with when it comes to narcissism and narcissists, because I think it confuses a lot of us. When I was younger, I was actually turned off by boys and young men that seemed grandiose and who seemed full of themselves. To me, that was a danger sign. And I kind of just naturally avoided boys like that because I think they reminded me, honestly, a lot of my dad. And so I just naturally avoided that type of overt personality. What I didn't realize, however, is that narcissists and narcissism exists on a spectrum, number one, but there is a huge misconception out there. So many of us associate narcissism with grandiosity and narcissism with vanity. And we really have to wrap our minds around this idea that that's simply not true. The fact of the matter is that narcissism is not about just being grandiose. Narcissism is much more complex than that. Narcissism, I look at it as the triple E's. That's how I think of narcissism. They are entitled, they lack empathy, and they exploit other people and especially their wounds. Narcissists also want to have control over people. Narcissists are looking to control you so that they can drain your power from you. Narcissists have an issue with ego, meaning they absolutely have to find and manipulate ways to get other people to validate them and to praise them. There are tons of people out there that are very vain, but aren't really looking for anyone else's approval or validation, or are looking for you to, give them some ego gratification. They're just into their looks. Plenty of people out there who are vain and who think well of themselves, but they're not exploiting other people. The world is full of people who, especially in this day and age with selfies and, instant messaging and Twitter and Snapchat and alike and all these different filters, there are plenty of people that actually enjoy animating themselves, through social media apps, but that doesn't necessarily make them a narcissist. Narcissism, we have to understand, is much more seedy than that. So narcissists, like I said earlier, they feel entitled. They're always right? When you meet a narcissist, they might go out of their way, and in most cases they do, to love bomb you, to act like they're into everything that you're into. They can actually mimic empathy. They can actually act like they care when they don't. If you have actually bumped into a narcissist, you might bump into somebody who is religious, who is a Boy Scout leader, who is a Girl Scout leader, who is actually a pillar of the community. And you might be thrown off because they don't care about the way that they look. They don't care about doing their hair or wearing lipstick or what kind of car they drive. They don't appear to be grandiose. Narcissism is all about gaining control over how someone else sees you. Or a narcissist is interested in controlling how you see them. So what they're trying to do is create, the way I look at it is, narcissists need mirrors, right? And they need to believe that you believe that they're awesome. Because when they look at you, they need to have you reflect this. You're awesome. You're the best. You're the smartest, the most talented, the most altruistic, you're just the greatest person that's ever lived. They need to have you reflect that back to them, because that helps prevent them from really getting in touch with their incredible inferiority, their incredible insecurities, their incredible shame. So narcissists on the surface appear to be people from all walks of life, in all shapes and all colors. And what I wanted to do is create a video around this idea of kind of like just, opening people's minds to this idea that narcissism is not just about looks. Narcissism is not about being self-absorbed. You can be really self-absorbed, but have empathy for other people. You can be a self-absorbed person, really into your looks and in your body, but not feel entitled to exploit other people. You could be really interested in the way you look and really on top of your game and really be a go-getter at work and not feel entitled to exploit and to abuse people. You could be highly attractive or think you're highly attractive and not need to gain power over other people. You could be in your own world, walking down some street in Manhattan thinking you're some fine little thing. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you don't feel entitled to exploit other people, that as long as you have empathy for other people, and as long as you can care about other people, then your level of vanity is really your own thing, and it really is up to the people in your life that really want to tolerate somebody who's so self-absorbed. But the idea for this video is helping people understand the fine line between narcissism and being self-absorbed, grandiosity. There's a huge difference between somebody who loves the way they look and somebody who doesn't really care about how they look and instead is manipulating the way people see them for their own sense of ego gratification or satisfying the ego. Think about a preacher who is having sex with many members of the congregation. Think about a religious leader who is having sex and molesting little boys and little girls. Think about a mom who absolutely needs to be the head of the PTA and the head of this and the head of that because she is wishing to gain accolades from outside of herself so she can feel good about herself, and yet she's abusing the kids at home, she's abusing the husband, she's taking advantage of people, she's exploiting people that challenge her in the PTA meeting. She is always right, everybody else is always wrong, and she might be running around looking like a raggedy old thing, and she might not look like a narcissist, but if you dug a little bit deeper and you paid attention to her intention, you paid attention to what was really going on. If you listen to the way she speaks, does she exploit people that challenge her? Does she feel entitled to always be right? Is she not taking care of her children? Does she lack empathy for the people that she should be connecting with? Is she more interested in gaining praise and accolades from outside of her? Does she play the victim? Does she challenge everyone that comes up against her, asks a question, and then turns it around on people saying things like, she's just jealous of me, or, she never liked me, or I dated her husband back in high school and that's why she's coming for me. So a clear sign that someone is a narcissist is that they're always right and everybody else is always wrong. They can seem like wonderful people on the surface, but people closest to them over time will feel very slighted by them. They will be gaslighted by them. You will feel the people closest to them will feel threatened to challenge them. So if you're living with a narcissist or love a narcissist, what you'll notice is that it's always someone else's fault. So let's say we're talking about a narcissistic PTA mom. Everything she's doing is so that accolades can get reflected back to her. So her kids could be starving, but she might be bringing, sandwiches for, kids to a softball game because that makes her look good. If her children start crying because they're hungry, she'll tell them to shut up, knock it off behind closed doors, but she'll go and she'll do for the neighbor's kids. So it's important that we understand that just because somebody cares about the way they look or they seem self-absorbed does not mean that they're a narcissist. I have so many people reaching out to me, on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitter asking me, is my sister a narcissist? I can't get her out of the mirror, or she's in the bathroom for 3 hours. That doesn't mean she's a narcissist, A narcissist is somebody, like I said earlier, exploits, has no empathy, feels entitled, is always right. There is very black and white thinking. They are always right. They're always right. Now, and also, when you first meet a narcissist, if it's a non-family member, if you first meet a narcissist, they will copy everything that you say. They will actually mimic you. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to like them. Because they have to hook you first, like a fish on a hook. They have to hook you first and then reel you in. And once they feel like they're getting reflected back this amazing sense of self, because they've manipulated your version of them, they've manipulated how you see them, and they're satisfied with the version of themselves that you are now reflecting back to them, that is when they will start to say sarcastic things to you. That's when they will start gaslighting you to the point where you are now questioning your reality. What I call a Boy Scout narcissist, where on the surface, you would never even know that this person had these types of qualities inside of them unless you were married to them. That's another thing. When you're married to a narcissist, dating a narcissist, if your parents are narcissists, people don't believe you. They think you're crazy. They tell you it's not that bad. They tell you you're nuts. They tell you you're making it up. Why? Because the narcissist does such a good job at creating a cover story. So if you take anything away from this video today, take away the idea that narcissists are a particular breed of people. They come in all shapes and sizes, and you should not rely on this idea that a narcissist is grandiose. That's one of the big mistakes I made in my life. My ex-husband, in my opinion, was what I call a Boy Scout narcissist. That man didn't care what he looked like. That man didn't care what he smelled like. That man didn't care about much of anything except making me wrong and him being right. That man would triangulate me with our customers. We owned a business, and he would talk about me poorly behind my back with our customers. He would triangulate me with his family. As my kids got older, he began to triangulate me against my kids. He triangulated me against my brother. He triangulated me against my mom and my dad. One day he came into the house while we were separated, and he threatened to not pay the mortgage. And I got upset. The next thing I knew, we were in a heated argument. He left the house, and a few hours later, my mom calls me and says, "How are you feeling?" And I said, "I'm feeling fine. How are you?" And she said, "Well, I just wanted, to make sure that you're okay." About a year later, my mom tells me that on that day, my ex-husband called her and said, "Oh, you better call your daughter because she's threatening to commit suicide." I never did that. But if you would meet my ex-husband, you would actually like him because he's so personable. He will read you like a book, and he will reflect back to you what he thinks you want him to say. Now, I don't think that this is a conscious thing on his part. I really think that he thinks he's a good person. The other day, he said something to me like, "Lisa, I'm a very simple person. It's very black and white to me." And I said, "You're right, it is black and white. Even though the world is full of color, in your world, things are black and white." And they go like this: you're right and everybody else is wrong. You don't even realize that because you think you're so good, you're such a good person because you go to church every week. You're such a good person that nobody else's opinion is valid because in your head, you're such a good person. If you challenge him or ask him to think about how the kids feel, he'll turn it around and say the kids are emotional just like you. And no matter what you say to him about this idea, well, how come your emotions matter? How come your opinions matter? How come you get to have an opinion of them and it's valid, but they can't have an opinion of you and it's invalid? So logic and reason doesn't work with a narcissist. They are absolutely entitled to exploit you, to think in black and white, to triangulate you, to gaslight you, and they are probably the biggest hypocrites walking around on God's green earth. So I hope this has opened up your mind. I personally believe that we should be teaching courses about codependency and narcissism in high school as young as 14 years old. I think that children need to know about these personality types. They need to know that there are predators out there, predator personalities that will exploit them, that will minimize them, that will abuse them and take control over them. People who are pulling a narcissist or attracting narcissists into their life, they come from all walks of lives too. You can be the brightest person, in the world, but if you have high empathy and very poor boundaries, then you are a prime target for a narcissist. So if you are somebody who is listening to this YouTube video and you know who you are, if you suffer from low self-esteem, if you feel like you're not good enough, if you feel invisible, if you struggle with boundaries, if you do not self-care, if you self-hate, if you cut yourself, if you are bulimic and anorexic or anorexic, if you self-harm in any way, if you abuse your body, if you're not loving your body, you must know that you are a target for narcissistic and abusive others because you don't have boundaries, right? You don't have boundaries. So I think it's time that we all start really, really waking up, because narcissism is costing our society a whole lot. We are depressed. We are full of anxiety. We're on anti-anxiety medicine. When I was married to my ex-husband, I was in and out of the doctor's office all the freaking time. I had rashes, migraine headaches. I had asthma. I was on all sorts of medication for my asthma, going for allergy shots. And when I got divorced and I started healing from codependency and narcissistic abuse, when I started waking up from the subconscious mind, my symptoms went away. Incredible. So we have to wake up. If you suffer from low self-esteem, dear one, practice your boundaries. Read my work, watch my videos, watch the videos of other people who teach you about codependency and boundaries, and get yourself healed. And please, Audible.com will offer you a free copy, a free download of any one of my books, as long as you sign up for their free trial, and you can cancel anytime. And I think you could actually share the link with your friends. So it's a pretty awesome deal. So you can read my blog. I have over 400 videos on YouTube. Go to my blog, www.lisaaromano.com. Check me out on Facebook. I'm also on Pinterest. You can follow my boards on Pinterest. Let's get healed, dear ones. Let's get healed. Let's love ourselves, and let's make narcissism a thing of the past, at least in our lives, right? So let's try to heal. Let's try to set boundaries. Let's learn to love ourselves. Namaste. Bye for now.
Hey there, namaste everybody. If you are somebody who enjoys study tools, who feels and believes that they are disciplined enough to take part in a membership site that is full of programs and worksheets and assessments and audios and video programs and all sorts of meditations, if you think that you're somebody who would actually dig in deep, dive in, and do the work every day to heal from codependency, to learn how to set boundaries, and to learn all you can about breaking the cycles of codependency so you can liberate not only yourself but your children and possibly even people that you know in your life, please check out the Breakthrough Warrior membership site. It is a site that I've created that you have access to, and it is full of amazing resources that I believe have the potential to help you heal your amazing life. You also get invited to a private Facebook community just for Breakthrough Warriors, and lots of members only perks and just awesome deals. So namaste, dear ones. Check it out.